A high school football coach and principal accused of racial discrimination is facing calls to step down. Good evening, I'm Mark Kiesling.
And I'm Julie Williams. Local civil rights groups plan to speak at a school board meeting in Anna tonight.
News 3's Danny Valle joins us live outside Anna Jonesboro Community High School, where that meeting is happening tonight. Danny, how did all this start?
Well, Mark, Julie, this all began last month when the school suspended 16-year-old Rayshawn Cannon for secretly recording a conversation between himself and Principal Brett Detering. During that conversation, Rayshawn told Detering that he was the victim of multiple racial slurs by fellow students. And Rayshawn's father tells us tonight he believes the suspension doesn't stem from the act of the recording, but from what Detering said on it.
It started a couple months ago. I was being called the N-word.
When 16-year-old Rayshawn Cannon ran into racism, he told his teachers first.
They wouldn't do anything about it. They just said, just try to stay away from it as much as you can.
Then he went to Brett Detering, the principal and football coach of Anna Jonesboro Community High School, and secretly recorded their 19-minute conversation.
He told me that since we're both of race, it doesn't matter, and there's only 2 weeks left. After he told me that, I felt worthless. I felt like no one would help me.
When the school learned of the recording, they called Rayshawn into the principal's office the next day.
I asked to call my parents again, and they wouldn't let me. So they left me there in tears. They took my phone from me illegally, wouldn't let me leave the office until I gave them my phone. They tried to go through it, and that's when my dad showed up.
I was pretty upset, like any father or any parent would be.
The school suspended Rayshawn the next week for violating the school's recording policy and added a section from Illinois' eavesdropping law. Rayshawn's father, Rayshawn Cannon, says the school threatened felony state charges if the family used the recording against Detering. Cannon says it's an intimidation tactic to keep them quiet.
But father wouldn't be upset when two grown men pull their 16-year-old son into an office and intimidating him and threatening to raise in tears. And what the principal said to my son was very disturbing too.
You can't say it's okay, you know, for this kid because you don't know how that kid or any adult will internalize that.
Linda Flowers, president of the Carbondale NAACP, says the district must teach students the pain brought by racial slurs. The group is investigating and collecting evidence to report their findings to the state.
For years and years, we assume that the adult or the person in power is the one telling the truth. So we shall see.
Rayshawn plans to join the Marines and follow in his great-grandfather's footsteps. Roger said he hopes the school can take the next step to becoming more diverse.
I will never be able to understand how it makes them feel because I'm white. Just like every employee at that school, like every board member at that school, they're all white. So they don't understand and never will be able to understand how it makes these kids feel.
Danny, what is Principal Detering saying about this allegation?
Well, Mark, I spoke to Detering yesterday. He did not want to comment for this story and deferred all comments to Superintendent Rob Wright. I spoke to Mr. Wright less than an hour ago. He did not respond to those allegations, but he did mention that Rayshawn Cannon has been barred from the school grounds and school events for 12 months for exhibiting disruptive conduct.
And what's next for this complaint?
Well, what's next is the Carbondale NAACP will be here at the meeting tonight. They're going to gather evidence from the school board and present their findings to the state NAACP, which will decide what the next steps are moving forward. And that meeting is happening tonight at 6 at the district office. That's right next to AJ Community High School. Residents will be allowed about 4 to 5 minutes each of comments at the beginning of the meeting. And it's also worth noting that Mr. Detering, who's also the football coach here at the high school, he's set to be inducted tomorrow into the Southern Illinois High School Coaches Hall of Fame at Rent One Park in Marion. And tonight at 10, we'll have the latest developments and what went on at this meeting later at 10. Here in Anna, Danny Valle, News 3.